guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be spilling a little bit of tea on The Voice, which is the reality TV singing show that I competed on. Did I want to cry? A better question is just how many times did I cry? Do I want it that way? I want it that. How much of it is staged? Did they get to choose your songs? Yes, they do. I'm not exactly sure why, but I'm pretty sure it's got to do with licensing of music and stuff like that. So you tend to audition with your own song. For instance, I auditioned with Matt Corby's brother, my own kind of interpretation of it. If you want to hear it, it's in one of my old videos and I'll link it here. But yeah, I assume then they find something similar to your audition song that they have the licensing to maybe, or that they also think will be well suited to your voice, or a type of genre or song that isn't currently being done by other contestants, just so that it doesn't seem like everybody is doing the same kind of thing. Stupid question, but why do you think you got chosen to go through? So this is a little bit of a conspiracy theory for me. I think generally the people and the producers backstage liked me and they thought that I was easy to get along with and, you know, brought a little bit of something different to the show. And I genuinely think they thought that I was a pretty good singer as well. My audition was not, I'm going to say, half as good as what I was doing in rehearsals just because of all of that adrenaline. When you sing, if you've got a lot of adrenaline in your body, I tend to seize up like this, and my shoulders and all of that kind of neck area is really tense. And if you're like that, all of the, you know, muscles that you need in your throat and stuff like that to be able to control your breath and your pitch, it just goes completely out. So for me, I felt like my audition wasn't that great, but I'm sure they had really kind of thought that I was going to turn a lot of chairs and go through. So I do kind of wonder if that's the reason why I did go through. What songs would you have liked to perform on stage? I don't know. I think I like doing a lot of folky kind of music. I like to do a little bit of anti-pop kind of feel. But yeah, I was definitely made to do a very generic pop song, which was hard. They threw me out of my comfort zone, but there wasn't a lot that I could do to make the song my own even. And when I did, I was kind of instructed to keep it simple. Yeah, if it were up to me, I'd probably be doing more of those genres. But yeah, I definitely would have preferred to do something more along those lines. Oh my god, you suck. Good singer. Yeah, that generally sums up how I feel about my singing. Sometimes suck, sometimes good. How nice were the other contestants? For the most part, very nice. I think that was probably my favorite part, getting to know everybody who made it through past the blind auditions. I walked away with a lot of great friends that I still keep in contact with, so that was great. However, there was one contestant that I found to be very up themselves. This person, when we were actually having a meeting with Channel 9 executives, referred to me as one of their Instagram followers, despite knowing very well that we were on the same show. The thing that does kind of annoy me about this is that I feel like I was given a slightly two-dimensional backstory, whereas this person was made out to seem so nice. But I'll get into that a little bit later. Were you asked to stretch the truth to make a story more interesting for viewers? I think generally most people go on with a bit of a story. It just makes it more interesting for TV. I do think shows sometimes rely too heavily on this, and I'm sure other people's stories were exaggerated a little. I don't think stories are ever a lie, but I do think they're perhaps just not as important to somebody's, like their life story, as much as they would lead on. For instance, when I told my backstory, I obviously gave them a lot of stuff about, you know, they could have taken an angle of that I've got divorced parents, that I was bullied in school, or that I was overweight as a child. You know, anything like that, that if they chose to take that angle, they could have gone in that direction. The thing that I have a little bit of an issue with is that I obviously knew that they were going to go in a direction about talking about my parents, and I thought that was completely fine. I think that when I was talking about it, I'd always say that, you know, I felt like coming from really successful parents, that I've always worried I wouldn't quite measure up, or that I didn't want to live in a shadow and that I wanted to have my own success in life. So I definitely knew that they were going to talk about that. Obviously, the little slots that you get to tell your life story is very small. And I feel like for that reason, a lot of people interpreted my backstory as me kind of saying, yeah, I have famous parents. And for me, that felt really shit because that's not what I'm like at all. You know, if they hadn't been asking me to tell my life story, it's generally not something that I tend to tell a lot of people just because it's not super relevant. And like I said, it is something that I worry about, that I'm not going to be as successful as the people around me. How do I tell my mum or dad that I want to go on The Voice? I don't know, you look young. I personally would wait until you're about, when I think about it getting in the way of school and stuff like that, like it does take up a lot of your time. I would wait until you're out of school and when you feel like you're emotionally ready for it. For me and how my story was interpreted, I felt like I got a lot of backlash and stuff online. If you're not ready for the bad that comes with the good, then I probably wouldn't say that it's for you. But if you do, I hope that your parents support you and that you can give it a go. Is it worth it? Overall, I'd have to say, yeah, it is. If you're thinking about going on these types of shows, I would say that you should really think about why you want to do it. For me, I definitely just wanted to get a little bit more confidence, get out of my comfort zone, try something new, and hopefully get a little bit of exposure out of it. And I got those things. So for me, it was a great experience. But yeah, I just have a little bit of a think about why you want to do it and if you're kind of emotionally ready for it, because there's a lot of stuff that comes with being on a reality show. What was going on in my head before I went on stage? Too much. I personally really enjoyed my time on The Voice, but I really don't enjoy either of my performances, especially my first one. Something that isn't, necessarily known is that we hadn't fully rehearsed my song before I went on stage. So we changed the arrangement like the one rehearsal of the song before. And I didn't know that when you go out on stage, they wait for about a minute before your song comes on. And as an anxious person, I kind of walked out and was ready for my song to start. And for a good minute, which when you're anxious feels like an hour, I was just standing there like, oh my God, like they haven't got the arrangement right. They don't know what to do. When do I start? And yeah. Some advice that I got on this though was from one of the vocal coaches named Luke. And he basically told me that the reason that I'm too in my head is because I'm not singing for myself and because I'm singing for other people. That's something that's really stuck with me and has made me a much better performer. I think that when I went out onto stage, as much as I tried not to think about it, I was thinking about the opinions of other people. I knew it would be the first time that my ex would see me, and the first time that girls who were bitchy to me in high school would see me. And the entire time, I think I was just thinking, this has to be good, And I want the first time that people see me again to be great. And I was thinking the whole time, this is gonna be on the internet, the internet's forever, so if you do a bad job, it's gonna be stuck there. But yeah, that advice really helped me. So luckily when I sing now, all of that isn't in my head anymore. On a scale of 1 to 10, how stressful was it? Honestly, some people who are more learned or, probably just less of an anxious person could have an absolutely almost stress-free great time. But for me, I just wasn't at that point in my life yet. I found it really stressful. And again, I think that was because I wasn't really doing it for myself. And more increasingly, I was thinking about other people's opinions of me and if I would impress other people. And that led me to become very anxious. That level of concentrated and constant anxiety for like 6 months led me to end up having really bad sleep paralysis. I am thinking about doing a video on it just because most nights I ended up having sleep paralysis, and me being a creative, they kind of warped into these really crazy dreams where I would be paralyzed, but my brain could kind of roam out of the room, and these really crazy, like, horror story kind of plots started happening most nights. So yeah, for me, it was pretty stressful, but I do think if I was to go back on it now, I'm in a much better place in my life, that I wouldn't be worried about people's opinions half as much, if even really at all. When was I on The Voice? I was on The Voice in 2018, so last year, and it was season 7. So what a lot of people don't actually realize is that although I was only on for 2 episodes, I was a part of the show for about 6 months. I think there are about 6 to 8 auditions before the actual blind auditions, which are the ones where you walk out in front of the judges. When you think about it, it makes a lot of sense, because I'm pretty sure 8,000 people applied that year. So if you had 8,000 people show up and, you know, you had to have a band choreograph a 90-second song for everyone, complete with lights and checking outfits and stuff like that, like, it just logistically doesn't make a lot of sense. So over a couple of rounds, they broke us down from that original 6,000 to 8,000 who sent in an audition tape, down to the 150 or so people who then audition in front of the judges. So yeah, I did my 1 audition song, and I turned 3 chairs, which was Kelly Rowland first, then Delta, and then Jonas. Where did I place? I think I was in like the top 50 or something like that. Which, when you think about it, out of like the 8,000 that applied, it's pretty good. I'm not upset. Does everything on the show seems like it is? Are you going to go on The Voice again? I was actually asked by, I assume, like, talent scouts or just producers for the show to re-audition this season. The only reason why I didn't was because you're not allowed to put covers or your own music up after you finish the show. I think it's just to level the playing field. So, you know, if somebody gets the amount of exposure that they wanted to, and then they released an EP or something like that straight after being on The Voice, it wouldn't create a level playing field for the people that are still left on the show that perhaps wouldn't then be able to sell their own music and that kind of thing. For me, that's the only thing that was stopping me, because I was starting to gain a little bit of traction here on YouTube, and I obviously want to keep doing covers and stuff like that here, so it just wasn't super logistically able to happen this time. But I don't know if I would maybe want to do it again. I'm not sure. I do have those fantasies about getting a little bit further on and getting to wear all of the costumes and all the sets and stuff like that. And I did generally really enjoy myself there, so maybe one day. Did I work with Joe as much as I thought I would have? No. Generally, the amount of time that you see us interacting with the judges on TV is an accurate representation of how much time we do get to see them, which is not that much. Maybe you do in the later rounds, I don't know. But just because I didn't get to work with Joe as much as I wanted to, that doesn't mean that I didn't get a lot of amazing help that really stuck with me from all of the vocal coaches and the producers and stuff like that. If I could go back, would I still pick Joe? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would, actually. The reason why I went with Joe was obviously because I'd watched him a lot as a kid on Disney Channel. I actually really like his work, being a part of DNCE. I think they make great music. And I was pretty drawn to Joe's personality in the way that he's a little bit weird, he's pretty quirky, and he seemed like a lot of fun. He was also the newest judge on there. So I kind of thought if he was ever going to help somebody out after the show, it would definitely end up being somebody that he could get closer to in a friends kind of way, and probably that he was more inclined to do that with it being his first ever season being a judge. Is Joe Jonas as attractive in person as he is on TV? Honestly, yes. What was it like hugging Mr. Joseph Jonas himself? Incredibly awkward. So when I had finished performing, Joe kind of like outstretched his hand for me like this, and I was like, what does that mean? Like, what do I do? What do I do? I thought maybe he was asking for my microphone. Instead of taking Joe's hand like he was offering to me, I put my microphone in it. What were the best and the worst parts of competing on The Voice? I'd have to say the best part is definitely all of the people that you get to meet. I made a lot of good friends and a lot of people that I could network with and stuff like that, and that I learned a lot of things musically off. The only negative thing that I would think I really experienced on The Voice was how quickly you don't become a priority to them. anymore, which is kind of understandable in a way because, you know, when you're running a show and stuff, there's a lot of things involved, and, you know, keeping it all on schedule and keeping it about, you know, where the focus is really important. But when you're not that focused, yeah, it's kind of sad. I think it's difficult when you've been made a priority for like 6 months. It feels like the second that you're not on it, everything just stops. So for instance, when I finished my blind auditions, I came off the stage and there was somebody there to usher me away and congratulate me and bring me off to do like a post-interview and that kind of thing, and it was all very exciting. But yeah, my battle rounds were very different. You know, I finished performing, and when I came off stage, they just took my microphone off me. I had to find my way back to the dressing room kind of area, and they took the clothes off me, and everyone who was usually there around you weren't. And it was just a very, it felt like being instantly sober, you know? That's what it felt like for me. The worst part for me was, that was on my birthday as well. So my 20th birthday was not the most fun. If you hadn't have been on The Voice, would you have been dating Elliot? Technically, no. The Voice were the people that invited me to the premiere where I talked to Elliot for the first time. He was in the row behind me, and the Channel 9 exec that we were with had previously worked with Elliot whilst he was on Disney. So they kind of turned around and were talking between the two groups. That was kind of what initially made me be able to recognize him when I then saw him online later. Thank you, The Voice. Anyways, that's all of the questions for today. Thank you for sending them in. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe and all of that other shit. And I will see you next week.